Glasses. Hey. There we go. Oh, I can't hear you. Let me see. It's default there. No. Hold on, let me see if there's something I need to... All right. Maybe that. Again. No, I don't hear anything. Let me see. Looks like, oh, it looks like you're frozen on my side. Let me see if, yep, okay, it's definitely frozen on that side. Let's see. I'm trying to get in here. All right. Oh, now it's not frozen anymore. That's good. I don't think I have volume still though. Still can't hear. Let me try switching to default. Let me see about going out and then coming back in like you did. See if that fixes anything. Nah, I still can't. All right, let me see. Work. out and then in again. So we're trying to join a podcast right now, but it's not letting us on Riverside.
What do we got now?
There we go.
Okay, cool.
All good.
Okay, I'm gonna try to switch the mic to the one I really wanted. Let's see if I crash it again.
All right. Work. No, nothing. No volume.
How about now? Are we still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Whew, success, finally. I don't know what that was all about. I've never had Riverside tell me like audio failure reset kind of deal. It was crazy.
No worries.
Appreciate your endurance through that. Get this switched over here.
Nice.
Okay, perfect. Full screen that. All right, awesome. Cool. Anything you want to cover before we start? I'm sorry for the slow start here. Anything you want to? Any questions you have before we get started?
Not too much. It would only be. Do you want me like asking you questions as well, so it's more like conversational? Or
yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. That just usually makes for like asking questions back is a big indicator of a conversation, right?
Right.
If you don't, then it'll be a little one-sided.
Perfect.
But you don't have to push it.
Yeah.
You'll feel it. Like the agenda I've designed will start to pull some of that in. So
Awesome.
yeah, it should work out really. Should work out really well. Let's see. I'm just scanning the questions. Okay, cool. Let me just grab. My drink. My office is way messy.
No worries. So
Right.
fun.
Okay. I think we are ready to go. I'm just going to hit record. That's always a good way to start. One, two, three. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Particle Accelerator Podcast. I have a fantastic guest with us today. Maybe the youngest looking guest, I'm not sure. But Jay Storm is a young entrepreneur and AI innovator based in Miami. He runs multiple ventures, including a marketing agency, Storm Growth Group, and an AI video generation platform, Omega AI Ads. and Kingdom Business, focused on designing AI systems for companies to scale. With a finance degree from UCF, Y Combinator experience, and a Harvard Business School online credentials, Jay combines technical skills with strong business acumen. I love having you here, Jay. I love the entrepreneurship. Is there anything I missed out on your introduction that we should know about you?
Man, no, I'm super honored to be here, and yeah, well, I mean, you pretty much covered all the high level stuff, and yeah, I love just building things in general. So I've yeah, I'm a big fan of just trying things out, and then eventually, if it's something of interest to other people, it tends to scale into a business.
Yeah, yeah. I also know that you're a fitness guy. You did some
Mm.
CrossFit stuff. Tell us a little bit more about some of your extracurriculars.
For sure. So funny enough, I was the furthest thing from like software development starting out. I thought I was going to be a professional CrossFit athlete and like work out for a living. And so my parents and I, this was one of our first ventures, but my dad and I actually opened up a CrossFit gym, and that's how I got into it. Of because we basically did it from the ground up of the entire build. I had to then go get people. I had to sell them into the membership, and then I was training them all throughout that. So, and it was really interesting because this actually led me to my second and third venture of because a lot of the members at the gym, they were like, hey, like, can we get like, cool t-shirts or sweatshirts? And so I was like, oh, I feel like I can like figure out how to do that. So I got into more of the, having to design and then order t-shirts, working with manufacturers for the actual gym members. And then naturally from that, they then went into it's like, oh hey, like do you guys do supplements or like what supplements are you taking? So then I was like, oh hey, maybe I can like get the supplements I'm taking and then package them and do that. So ended up doing that for the members as well, which was pretty fun. And yeah, I wish I would have had all the marketing experience I had now because it was just really just like word of mouth and all of that. But it was definitely a great experience to just get into entrepreneurship and see what it's like, just trying things out and then actually making them into ventures and companies.
Yeah, and then your podcast or your LinkedIn says that you're a kingdom believer,
Mhm.
focused on equipping and empowering people to create extraordinary impact. What does being a kingdom believer mean to you?
Yeah, for me, I mean, faith is the most important thing for myself. So having everything that I go into is from my value. So again, I'm a believer in Jesus. I'm a believer of bringing that into the actual marketplace. So when I'm going to build a venture, when I'm going into a client call or seeing how this technology could impact people, I'm always designing it from a place of like, hey, what are like what are the good things that this can bring about? Or if I'm in a client call, is like, hey, what are the actual benefits that I can bring to them? And then operating obviously in like integrity and holding myself to a higher standard than even outside people would hold me to. So that's really what it is building a company based on foundational beliefs that can, yeah, and that can like embed itself into both the team, the culture, but then building it for something greater than just profit or making a lot of money, but also impacting a lot of lives, being able to bring a benefit to a lot of people.
Yeah, love that. Love that. I also saw that is it true that you have some beekeeping experience?
Yes. So this was my very first job when I was like 14 or 15. Very hard manual labor. My dad, interestingly enough, so they were looking at how they could get tax benefits for their land because we owned like 50 acres in Colorado. And there was two things that you could do. One is like have a tree farm and plant a bunch of trees. And the second, interestingly enough, was beekeeping. So they were like, oh yeah, let's get some beehives. And then my dad's pretty entrepreneurial himself. So it started out with like one hive, and then we got like 10 hives, and then we got to like 200 hives. But he made connections with with like the biggest beekeeper on the Western U.S. And then got me a job there of like, hey, you need to learn how to work. So you need to go work for him. And so I worked for the largest beekeeping operation in the Western U.S. for
That's
a couple of
awesome.
years.
So, what's the most unexpected skill you learned from beekeeping that helps you in business today?
I mean, one is like finding joy throughout the challenges. Because when you're in, basically how these bee yards are set up is, if you can imagine, basically Colorado is kind of like a dry desert. So in the summer times, it can get up to like 90, 100 degrees. So we're in these full beekeeping outfits. The bees are like buzzing around. We're trying to like, get the honey from them, and like they're trying to sting us. And we would do that day in and day out in our crew of like 3 to 4 guys. So what it really taught me, and this was hard work, like each of these things that we were carrying, the honey, were like 70 pounds each. We'd have to take them, walk 20 feet to the big, the trucks, and then load them up and all of that. And I'm like 15 at the time. So I'm like using my full back and trying to get it up on there. Yeah. So it taught me discipline and hard work throughout that time of just like, no matter what the challenge is like joking with the guys, like having a good attitude and being able to consistently show up day after day, even if something is a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. And then, so CrossFit or AI, which is more addictive?
That's a great question. Wow. I'm definitely addicted to both of them. Probably AI, because it's a little less demanding on the body.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely for me. But yeah, I love the culture of both of them. This is one thing that I love about business and just, again, like kingdom business values, or bringing great values into a company and building with them, is because then you show up and you're working with people and like everybody's sharing a shared mission, shared values, and it's more of a collaborative environment, which is similar to CrossFit. Everyone's trying to better each other. Everyone's trying to build each other up. And then in the AI field, I found that as well. Is like everybody's trying to if there's a new thing come out, they want you to try it out or like use it, or showing you like a hack. So it's very, very similar in that aspect, which I really enjoy.
Yeah. So you work with bees. Now you're cloning voices. So what's the first thing you'd build if you had unlimited resources?
Ooh, that's a great question. So one of the things I want to expand into is humanoid robotics. And especially with the
not robot bees.
Not no robot. We're good on the robot bees. Although miniature robots, that would be actually pretty cool. But yeah, humanoid robots is this is up and coming. Obviously, Tesla's doing it. There's a bunch of Chinese companies doing it. But just getting into that field and expanding it, especially if you have unlimited revenue or is funding capital to be able to get that up and running. Because AI is going to be able to combine with that and really bring things up. Because then it's not me programming. Who knows? The robot buddy can go program also, and you can be using the AI as well. So I just see that as the next expansion opportunity.
Yeah. So the last lightning round question here is Miami or Denver?
Oh, yeah, that's a hard one. I would choose, if I had to choose one, I'd choose Miami, just because the weather, pretty much all year round, is just beautiful and gorgeous. The thing that I miss, because you got the beach here, you got the water sports, you don't have the mountains. And I love hiking. I love being able to go out and, either ski during the winter or, mountain bike. So those are the things that I miss, but you can still take vacations, which is one of the big things.
I went to Colorado School of Mines.
Oh, no way.
I was raised in Lakewood.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love Denver. And what I experience is I get a pretty good beach stress when I see the blue water and the sandy beaches in Miami. Definitely tension goes down immediately when I'm on the beach, but not quite like the Rocky Mountains. A little cabin with a good view in the Rocky Mountains just fits it for me. I don't know. I think it's partially being raised there. It just has a home feeling, everything's going to be taken care of. And I actually prefer the things you can do in a mountain area versus the things you can do in a beach scene. I love fishing. I love the hiking. In that area, in the Denver area, there's so many 14ers, right? So many high mountains. And it's one of the only sports, hiking is one of the only activities that the payoff is in the middle. If you think about it, like a CrossFit, you do your CrossFit exercise, you end it, you get the payoff at the end. Look at what I accomplished, look at my time, all that. But when you summit, the summit is in the middle of the work. And I think you learn a lot about that, right? You learn a lot about okay, I got up, now I have to go down. And so I love the activities that you can do in the Denver area.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you think breeds the best entrepreneurs?
Oh, yeah. I think Denver. I think growing up in a harsher environment actually breeds a better entrepreneur because you're faced with challenges. You're faced with things that are difficult, and you learn how to, like you said, it's like, hey, you got to go up, but then you got to come down. And sometimes the coming down or like navigating on the way down can be harder, even though it's less, less movement. But that
Yep.
very pro that.
Yep. Cool. So you said you tried all the when we talked before. You said you tried all the you said you tried all the AI video competitors and they all sucked. What specifically was missing, and how did you solve it?
Yeah, great question. So there's like two core things that are missing. With video generation, why like a lot of people like are like, oh, they don't like this, or like the narrative is like, oh, it's not good. It's like, no, just the generations that you've seen are not good. Because in reality, if you can get good generations, it's gonna be really good. So the two things that they miss on is they don't have, one of the biggest things is they don't have great voices and it doesn't look realistic. So, and these are the things that a lot of them tried to do well on, and some of them do one of those two things really well. They could have like really good voices, and it sounds really good, but it looks like a robot. It looks like you're not moving, and like it may be you, it's your avatar, but you're just sitting there. It's not engaging. Like it's just like it's very robotic. And then there's other ones where it's like, high motion and like it's getting into things.
Special effects, yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound right, or like, it's like something weird, like they could drift through a chair or something like that, and it doesn't look realistic. So I wanted to figure out a way to combine both of those. And then the next thing is being able to do this in sequence. So being able to generate lots of them with the same character for a longer type video. Because originally I actually got into this just for fun. This was a while like this maybe like half a year ago, because I was interested in making like feature length movies. Because I see a lot of it is like, oh, if you could generate like, I have an idea for a movie, let me generate a movie. And this was just like a side project. This was just something I was interested in. And then from there, I got really good at prompting. I used all the video generation models, and I was like really, really attuned to them. Wow, because we were always trying to use like AI ads in our marketing, because you can get so much more. If you could do that, you can create so many more creatives, and you're able to just launch that many more ads. You can target different people and all that good stuff. So pretty much all of this came to a heading when the new Sora generation model came out, Sora 2 Pro. And from there, it actually did really good on both making the avatars, but having hyper realistic people and the voices. And then the last thing to solve, which none of the other video models were able to solve, is they limit it to a certain length of generation. On Sora, it's like 8 to 12 seconds. On the other video generation models, they do that as well. So there was no way to combine all of these hyper realistic images or videos into an actual, like, let's say I need a 2-minute ad. It's like, well, I can't do that. I have to, generate these robot looking ones and mess around with editing and try to do all that, and it doesn't save time or money. So we were able to do that at Omega AI Ads, is be able to generate them in sequence and have the same actor. But also, we then figured out how to actually clone yourself, so people can now do it for themselves and then use themselves in ads or organic content as well, or for informational videos.
Yeah, that's cool. So you're seeing higher performance from AI generated ads than traditional ones. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
The biggest thing is you're able to generate hyper realistic. So a lot of times we'll do it in like luxury places, or we'll do things like and you've been seeing this in like, people see this all the time in Super Bowl ads and very professional high-end ads. It's like, those are not like, it's real people, but they're in like, they have special effects and they're in this and that. They got green screens in the background. So now we're able to create that level of quality and then bring that into an ad and generate it at a fraction of the cost. And right. That's the real opportunity that we've been seeing, and that's why they're performing better, is because like, well, they're superior than anything. Like, yeah, if you have $100,000, $1 million, entire studio doing it, it's like you can do the same thing, but now you can do it from your computer.
Yeah. How do you respond to people worried about AI content being fake or inauthentic? You mentioned wanting to get ahead of the AI slop narrative. Mm-hmm. How do you respond to people worried about AI content being fake or inauthentic?
Yeah, and what we've been seeing is a lot of AI content is you want to generate content that is authentic, and it's going to be in that same voice. It's going to be in the voice. It's going to be in the same tone as authentic content because you want it to come across as authentic because ultimately that's your brand voice. And instead, we're going to move away from like these individuals or anything like that. We've already seen this because people are wanting more authenticity and brands are tied to a certain person. Well, now you can tie it to a certain avatar or someone that, or like several different avatars, but they're gonna have their own brand voice that's gonna be communicated from it. So it's like, no, you can't just get away with like generating whatever you want because people are still gonna like look at like, okay, does this add up? Like, is this brand like legit? Like, are they, if they have these marketing claims, are they actually operating that way? And that's gonna be the way to tell, and that's gonna be the way to get ahead of it, is really knowing and like knowing is like, what's the culture of your company? What is the brand messaging? What are we actually putting out there? And then making sure as we're generating the ads that it aligns with the entire brand. And it's like, it's the same thing of hiring a UGC creator, or just hiring a team or having a mascot like some of the bigger companies like Geico and all of them do. It's like, yeah, you form a bond with them and then it's like, oh yeah, that's the gecko from the Geico commercial. So it's already been doing it. Now it's just opened up to the individual, to the, to any company that is really ready to take advantage of the new technology.
Yeah. So we're going to diverge. I'm going to give you a little heads up here. So we're going to diverge to go down that skepticism road a little bit.
Awesome.
But I promise I'm going to bring it back to the positive business results that you're seeing. Because you're in a unique position where you are wielding a superpower for good. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the superpower for bad that I'm seeing. So using the same technology that you're talking about, we're starting to see, I just saw one yesterday that some friends of mine were talking about, where the scene was an artificial NYC cop in a verbal debate with some ICE agents, right? So the NYC cop was saying, hey, I'm not going to let you take people, so there was the debate. Now, my guess is that's probably not happening, right? There's some general motivation for public safety that's happening, regardless of what political side of the aisle you're on. There's some pursuit of public safety. And then if you looked really closely, the badge on the all the actors was not the English language, like it wasn't a real badge. But if you didn't look closely at the badges of the different law enforcement agents that were on the screen, you could easily think that that was real. And so now, as we look at social media and we take our information there, it will either reinforce our bias. So I also, the same technology you're using for good, I'll repeat that, the same technology you're using to broadcast a brand message is also, like, for my 13-year-old or my 11-year-old who will soon be 13, 14, we'll start to progress, this idea of like the AI girlfriend or the artificial relationships is a real concern. Like, it's already happening where folks are becoming quite emotionally attached to an AI-driven avatar. So what do you what are your thoughts about that? You're also a Christian like I am. And so as we're seeing these things, is there a solution or a solve for some of this wielding of this technology for bad?
Yes, this is actually a fantastic question. This was my motivation and my main motivation into getting into software and robotics. The first is, these are very real concerns, and this is what AI generation, like on the bad side, is like all of these things are true. It's like people are using it for everything for like the porn industry, for like AI girlfriends, for like fake generated videos that like to garner attention or to like persuade public opinion. And then it's like, how do we know it's real? So all those things. And the main reason why I get into it, and I'm a very big proponent of like, well, here's the good that you can use it for. You can use it for this. You can use it for I'm having people generate like historical videos using it and basically generating generating what could have happened like historically in their educational videos. And this is where I see it's like you're never gonna get rid of the bad. And the best way to like I'll answer a couple of them, but like for the how when I'm blessed enough to have kids of my own, what I want to do is actually teach them about teach them about the technologies and then show them how to use it for good versus the bad, because then having competency is going to actually protect them, because it's like having the knowledge, being aware of these things. It's like same thing as a cell phone. I mean, there's plenty of bad things kids can do with cell phones, or like people can do with cell phones, right? And it's and that's a very real concern. But teaching that competency early on of like, hey, here's how we use it. Here's the things that you can do with it. Use it to create. Is like is the best we can do, and just like have faith, like we're raising them in the right way that they should go, and then having faith that God's going to take care of the rest. Because yeah, it's very real. I see this among my even my friends, like even like they talk about this isn't even video. Also, this is literally just their AIs, just their GPTs, just their Claudes. They talk about it as if it's a real person already. This is already a real thing. This is among my friend group, which is entrepreneurs. So it's just going to get more and more as these systems get more competent, and then as they're tied to real human life figures that look and sound precisely human. And so that's the real. It's like it's going to be same concept with social media. Is like we need to be actively being proponents of. It's like, hey, this is great. You can have that relationship with like this AI chatbot, because it's going to know a lot about you, and it's going to help you in these pro and positive things. And teaching is like, hey, you want to be using it for these pro and positive things, but also emphasizing the getting into real life relationships as well, and the importance of that, and leading by example in that, because that's one of the biggest things. It is easier just to sit at home and just to scroll like social media, just to chat with the AI bot, just to oh, I have them as here too, but it's not a substitute for the actual real thing of like being in a relationship and getting into and having friends.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying. My concern is it's a little like I think the real challenge for us. Like, I don't think this is an easy answer, and the reason why is that it's kind of like how some folks have found themselves into like an opioid addiction, right? It started out with an injury, like they hurt their knee. So then they went to the doctor, and they were advised to start taking Oxycontin, a painkiller, and then they got really hooked on the painkillers, and then before they know it, a few years later, it's heroin. It's a bad thing, right? So my concern, the way I describe this is I think we're entering into an age where just because technology exists doesn't mean I should use it. Like, for the first time, there are technologies that I should say no to, right? And so this is new. Like, if you could do something more efficiently or more effectively in the past, like, go adopt that, right? You're almost criticized for not adopting the technology. But there's something happening here. So a couple of anecdotes. One is I was in a Bible study, right? So I've been in some other men's groups, so I feel a little experienced in terms of sharing authentically and vulnerably. And so I maybe went with a little chip on my shoulder. Hey, I really know how to do this men's group thing. And I'm in and so the assignment for the second Bible study is to write a psalm. And so I take some of my personal development, self-awareness, and I generate a really good prompt, and I generate a psalm with some AI help. And it's a good thing. Like, I edit it, I make it my own. I'm like, hey, this is great. I get to the Bible study, and as we're going around, the men that are sharing the psalm that they've written completely authentically are emotional about their psalm. And then I get to mine and I read it, and I'm like, okay, I completed the task, but I missed the point. And sometimes I think marketing content is like this too, where the process of writing, the process of clarifying the message there's something that connects me emotional. So like my new word of caution is it's just a word of caution. It's like I use AI all the time for all different kinds of things, but in the places where I want an emotional connection to the work, I turn it off. Like I'm gonna do the work here because at the end of the day, it's like writing a love note to your wife or significant other with AI. Like there's no emotional connection, and quite frankly, I think other people can feel that. Um, you could even have slightly rougher, or some people would call it less good marketing content that you're emotionally connected to. And I think that will be more impactful than perfectly written AI generated content that you're not connected to. What do you think about that?
I think that's very real, actually. And this is people people love that authenticity, and the and yeah, and it's like if you put your heart into something, naturally you're gonna be more emotionally connected to something that's just generated because it's like it's all of you, and it's kind of like people love that imperfect because we're imperfect beings. Is kind of how it is. I actually see a lot more in like both live streaming and in real life things going to be on the rise. And as this is actually something that I talk about is actually doing things like this, doing podcasts, like going to live events. Those are actually they've been on the rise, and I feel like those things are just going to get more and more because people are, as the line between AI generated versus hyper realistic, like as that line blurs, people are going to be searching more and more for the actual authentic and the imperfect, because that's what we enjoy at the highest level. And again, with marketing, it's like, I mean, on that side, it's all about testing. So it's like this is why we test, and like sometimes the best performing thing is literally one of my best performing ones. I was just in my room and I filmed something and threw that up as an ad, and it outperformed like a lot of the other like highly developed ones. So it's at the end of the day, it's like you don't really know what these like this is marketing like in general. It's like you don't really know what's gonna hit. Something might go viral and you had no idea for it, and it was just it was just something that people really attached to. So it's again, it's more about the creation process and trying new things, and like and it's not a substitute. It's a complement to what you're already doing. Is the biggest thing.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying there about the live. Um, yeah, Spotify is getting inundated with AI generated music, which is cool because some of the AI generated music proves concepts really quickly. So there's this like sound I was looking for, and I kind of caught a glimpse of it. I don't remember how or where, but this idea of like an outlaw gospel, right? Like Christian music, but like if a Hell's Angel biker was singing gospel music, right? So I searched outlaw gospel on Spotify, and I found a playlist with a bunch of AI generated songs in there that had that sound that I was looking for. Like, oh wow, this is really cool. And I'll be honest, I was a little naive. I didn't know how inundated Spotify was getting with these AI authors, and so I'm like, cool, who is this? Right? Like, I will never be able to see someone perform outlaw gospel live from these brands that I've found so far. And so I'll listen to those songs a couple of times, but if I can't go see the musician live, but a musician that I could see live, I may integrate them into my life for years. So, and so like love some Forrest Frank, and these guys. Then even for Christmas, my wife's gift to the family was we're going to go see a Forrest Frank concert in August. And so I think you'll see the same thing. Like, yeah, it'll be great that there's all this AI music that'll maybe affirm a sound or be almost like a test criteria that, hey, these sounds, people like these sounds, people are downloading and listening to these sounds. But I think before someone is going to become like a habitual listener, like where the artist is integrated into their life, they'll have to have live performance. Like it will have to be part of the experience. And I think we also love to know, I think you see this in entrepreneurship too. like being able to see the experience of a person growing a business. One of my favorite YouTubers is Max Tuning, who built a brand called Sour Strips, and a few months back, maybe a year back, sold it to Hershey. So I was watching him along that journey, and it's one of the like YouTubers that anytime he posts a vlog, even my wife's like, oh, I want to see what's going on with them. So because now he's married and now he's having a baby, and so I agree with you that this personal connection is almost going to be amplified by our desire for personal connection, even if it's in a slightly voyeuristic way, is going to be amplified.
Yeah, and it's just yeah, and that's the good thing that I see about it is like, yeah, you can now customize. It allows everybody to be a creator. Like, and this is kind of the cool thing with the music and the cool thing with like the videos and all of that. You're able to customize things that you want to see existed. So it just opens up the playing field of like, now everybody can create music that they like, that never existed before, videos that never existed before, and it breaks down a lot of those barriers. And it's going to give rise to, it's like, okay, because all of that is like, online, what is the in-person things that we can now go to together and have those experiences? Because then it's going to be more experience driven of like, oh, let's go to the actual concert, or let's go to the actual meetup. Let's go to this, XYZ convention. And yeah, I just see that like the rekindling. I mean, there's already the loneliness epidemic and like people wanting to, want to stay and not making as many friends and people not getting into as like fast relationships, all of that. But ideally, and this is kind of why I'm very much of a proponent of it, is like, yeah, use these things like generate, do all the creation aspects of things, because that's really good. But also do them in community. Like, get your community involved, get your friends involved, and then you can do it together, share those things, so that it's not just this like, oh, let me just do all these things by myself, but you're actually contributing and you're doing it as part of that journey of life.
Yeah. So let me on-ramp this back into the regular conversation.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell a chief revenue officer who's skeptical about using AI-generated avatars for client communications? Yeah,
I mean, for them, the biggest thing I would say is if you're willing to test it, you can always compare. And it's like, people have already been doing this all the time. Is you have spokespeople, you have these people that are like talking on behalf of the company, or you have the actual ads. And the biggest thing is just testing, because again, what would have taken, because you can hyper tailor too to make sure the messaging is correct and making sure it looks and sounds like you. You don't publish like anything without you checking it first. And the really cool thing is if they're hesitant, I'm always proponents of like testing things that could drive a significant like revenue increase or a cost decrease. So with them, again, a lot of times you want to decrease the cost and like maximize the revenue. The great thing about this is you can test a lot of variations very quickly and then get immediate feedback on it from the internal company. And then it's like, you have the best version of what you were going to say, instead of a super high cost. Well, hopefully that'll resonate. Because sometimes like you could spend all this money and do all this on a campaign, and then it just doesn't even work. Whereas it costs a ton less. You can have multiple variations of it, and then you have immediate feedback of which one is working, so that you can, put your money towards that.
Well, like, bottom line, your budget at the time may not support, like you were saying, live filming in the right location and drives the brand message and communicates has the right overall experience. If you can start testing that with AI, it's almost, well, the opposite side of the argument, oh, do it real, do it live. It doesn't exist, right? Because you can't afford that. So being able to do this, and then you're also talking about variation, like being able to try different things at a low cost to see if they stick and if they work. Where do you see the biggest ROI opportunities for enterprise companies adopting AI video right now?
Right now, it would primarily be on the marketing campaigns or the continuous content that you're actually, educating clients on the product, because a lot of those, where before is you would need, a team, you would need actors, but we're talking about like high-end companies now, like Fortune 100, Fortune 500 type companies, is they may have these massive budgets for it, but it's like you can use that now to generate these feature length, like really engaging videos that your clients can then use, and you don't have to, have your $1 million production team try to do it and then like it flops. Because what the real, again, when you're getting it up in the high, you can educate. You may have a huge product line. It's like, are you gonna hire someone to do it for all those products? Absolutely not. But now it opens it up so you can do customized videos for each different segment of the company, educate the clients, have really high engaged, like cinematic level quality videos that people are engaging with and actually watching, because you can make them entertaining. It doesn't have to be dry. It can actually be really entertaining now. And you can put that budget into having an individual, whereas it would take an entire department to do the same thing if they were able to do it at all.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Awesome. So you're an investor in SpaceX, OpenAI, XAI, and Anthropic. What's your thesis on where AI is heading in the next 2 to 3 years?
I see it, again, we're just on an exponential curve. I've been following video generation, AI generation for the last like 7 years is when I initially got involved. And everything has continuously gotten better and better. So where I see in the next 2 to 3 years video generation, you're gonna be able to generate like feature length films within the next 3 years. That's how good things are getting. And they're gonna be comparable to Hollywood level, like cinema. Like that's just on the video generation side. On the actual AI model side, that's where I would see that going is, it's gonna be able to interact with computers just like a human's gonna be interact with. So, and it's not gonna be, you don't have to tie in a bunch of systems. You can literally just log on. It can use your computer and it can do all the tasks just like someone else would from a simple prompting goal. So those are very, very exciting things. And I get a lot of questions like, well, what does that mean? And we can definitely explore those as well. But then the robotics side is within the next 3 years, we'll see the humanoid robots coming into manufacturing jobs, coming into the construction, coming into the very high manual labor intensive jobs. Those will start being replaced with the actual robotics. And I would say, yeah, definitely within the next 3 years, and possibly within even this next year or two.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're, when we talked before in the prep, you're building the product yourself using Lookable for the front end, and then APIs, leveraging the Store API and some other things. What advice would you give other technical founders doing the no code, low code, going that low code, no code route?
Yeah, the best thing is literally just getting more people using it, because they're gonna use it in ways and they're gonna find the bugs, and basically I'm always a fan of like, hey, turn it on and like see what breaks, because then you know what to fix, and they'll be literally feeding you what you want. And this actually happened to me because I was like, early on I was like, okay, now I can generate the videos, and then I showed it to people and they're like, oh, like I can't generate myself, like, oh, that's all I really wanted. And I was like, oh gosh, all right, so now we got to generate the avatars. And so it really gives big feedback of when you're using those tools. One, you see the fallouts, because again, it's like when you generate it, and this like applies to anything that you're coding, building in general, is they'll tell you what's wrong with it more so than you'll know. It's like, because like you may think, like I thought I had it. It was like, oh, this is so great and this is awesome. And then I gave it to someone and they didn't even know like what button to press to actually like generate it. I'm like, oh no. So it just gives you real-time feedback. So again, that's the biggest thing, is like talk to users and then just build the things that they want. And I've seen like natural growth from just doing those two things. And then like bringing people on that know how to scale it though, when you're going into like high production or scaling. That's another thing, is bringing the best people that know how to take something from basically that MVP or the beta stage into, it's like, okay, if we onboarded 10,000 users, what like would it be able to handle that scale, and bring on the right partners or the right people, the right teammates to be able to scale that up as well.
Yeah, we've been working with a lot of customers in that intersection between where Base 44 and Lovable kind of start ending. And the cool thing is we're able to grab a chunk, right? So if it's an algorithm on the back end or a data pipeline, so in your work product, you're really orchestrating a model, and so your API is really that Sora model, and then stringing all that together. In many people's, it's just more complex, right? It's like, I need to collect data from 5 different places. I need to bring that data together in an experience of some sort. And so what's great about the low-code, no-code solutions that are AI-driven is it allows the concept gets proven, and then as you want to enter that enterprise scale and be SOC 2 compliant and all that, then you need to start thinking about a partner. The question I have for you is, you're getting these feature requests from beta users and kind of building as you go. How do you prioritize what to build next?
It really just comes down to how, is the same thing being requested over and over again. And if it's mentioned once, I'll be like, oh, okay, that's cool. But if it's mentioned 2 or 3 times by completely separate, different types of people, then it's like, all right, this is something that people want. And then it just goes into, it's like, okay, how difficult is it to implement, and how fast can I implement it? That's the hierarchy, is like, how many people want it, how easy is it to implement, and how fast can I do it?
Yep, level of effort versus demand, right? Because even if one person wants it and it's a good, easy thing to do, then yeah, maybe I should just do it. So yeah, I agree. Level of effort is definitely part of that decision-making process. And I love that you're thinking in a product way. You don't want to start bespoke, creating bespoke solutions for different customers. You want to take their ideas and make it part of the product. When is it time to move from building it yourself to bringing in a technical team for scale?
That's a great question. When it's when too many things start breaking and it's basically not working, then it's like, okay, I definitely need help. That's the clearest indicator that I'd be able to give for that.
But that's interesting that, and I think you're an amazing case study of this. So you're serving, I think you said at least 15 customers with your AI generation solution, and you haven't hit that intersection yet. Did I remember that correctly?
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Do you see kind of something on the horizon where it's like, okay, I need to get a tech team in here, and we need to think about this a little differently?
Yeah, great question. So interestingly enough, and this is the process that, I'm hitting this already a little bit in terms of, I'm talking to two clients right now that want to bring, they're very, very big companies. One has 30,000 and another has 50,000 agents. It's some of these huge ones in wealth management, and others in an e-commerce type one. And so when I'm thinking about that, I'm like, all right, God, how do I build this to scale of if all those people came on? So I'm already starting to think that way. And it's more so, it's because I think building things to scale is the way to do it. First thing is just build it. Second thing is build it to scale. And so, yeah, that's already, I'm entering into, it's okay, I need dependencies. So if this many people log on, it's how, is it gonna work for the generation side and all of that? Simplicity is I'm always trying to simplify the business, the product, the software, so that it is able to scale, because simple things scale. So yeah, it really just, again, it's coming to it, because I haven't, literally it's all word of mouth. It's people just wanting to be on the platform. I'm like, all right, I'll open it up to you. So that's, we haven't even run our own advertising to it or anything like that, which is I think that'll be another level of things. Just if like,
Yeah.
okay, if a bunch of people register at the same time, because we can handle all the registrations, it's on the actual technical like generation side that is gonna have the issues, and that's what I'm working on right now. Literally this week to be able to scale is like, okay, if 10,000 people came on, can they all use this?
Yeah. Excited to help you and just see you accomplish that, because I think this is an extraordinary use case for proving out a concept, using some of the new AI coding solutions, and seeing where the wheels fall off, and seeing and we're even thinking about our traditional coding process. And all I mean by the traditional coding is it's now you have multiple developers. So now the lovable solution kind of falls apart. The lovable base 44 kind of fall apart because they don't really handle like simultaneous code change very well. So there's like a change management ecosystem that's existed for a really long time. However, an entrepreneur like you that's maybe had some success with this interactive programming approach, we're in the middle of designing a more agentic workflow for the more robust change management process. So we're thinking like, hey, there's you put a story in Jira, like in your project management solution, an AI agent picks it up, does the PR, does the code change, and well, first writes a plan and puts that plan back into the project management software. Kind of like, is this what you meant? And then, okay, yes, that's what I meant. Let's go ahead and do that. And then executes that code change, delivers a PR, but then we go ahead and deploy that particular PR on an environment that is just that code, right? So then you can look at it and you can see, okay, did that do what I want? Do I really want to now commit my PR into the process? You do a little bit of human in the loop kind of verification or approval process, and then you go, okay, yeah, even if this makes the software, even if there's something maybe not perfect about this, the code is better with it in there than without it. And so we're making sure that the prompt is writing tests and retesting things, and that there's an automatic feedback loop from the engineering process. But we feel like that's going to be more and more important, because if this becomes the practice of entrepreneurship, where you go out and you use Lovable to create a product, and then you hit a certain scale and you're like, okay, now I need to get to multiple people so that this can hit 1,000, 10,000 users. We don't necessarily want to lose that interactive process. Now that interactive process may need to slow down just a touch, right? Not be instant, but something like hours. But we don't, what people would experience today, moving from the lovable type process to a team environment, is more like we'd measure things in days, not hours. And I think that will alienate the entrepreneur that's been, feeling success with this more instant tactile feedback. So it's very interesting, and we're excited for where it's taking us, because especially when it comes to the UI and usability, the entrepreneur may be the only person that really needs to be involved. If they're changing copy or adding a button or adding elements to a drop-down that's not data-driven, right? Like those things might be fine to do agentically, and maybe even more complicated things than that. The entrepreneur doesn't necessarily want to set up GitHub and a code editor and cursor and feel like they're coding, but they would like, at least my thesis here is that they would like a back and forth process with something that takes hours, not days.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing is a lot of people, then it's the instant feedback, but more the visual editing is the biggest thing. And basically you can type something in and visually see it there. There's a huge opportunity for taking things to scale. Because that's exactly where like a lot of things are missing on the like agentic front is being able to use that, exactly what you said, of it's like, okay, here's kind of the code base, here's what we've done, and then it's like, now I need to push that to scale. And then while that's going on, you can work on like the front end and all of that stuff. And basically it'd be that iteration process so that it's like, you have the versions that are able to scale versus just like, okay, yeah, let's just push it and then something breaks or it's not compliant or like security breaches are everywhere or something like that. So huge
sure.
opportunity there.
Yeah. So I'll shift gears a little bit because I want to come back to um, the idea of a kingdom business.
Mm-hmm.
What does a kingdom business mean to you, and how is it different from just building a company?
For sure. For me, kingdom business means integrating my faith into the business, so that I'm not just building a company. I'm actually building people, and my heart's actually building both the team, my clients, and people that we're interacting with, and it's transforming hearts and minds to be more and more, for me, like Jesus was, of that, going into things with, with goodness, with gentleness, with peace, with patience, with discipline, and being able to develop that not only for myself and making sure I'm showing up that way, but also developing my team through one-on-one conversations, through team huddles, and making sure that they understand that the intention of this company obviously is to grow, to become great, to make a lot of money, but more importantly, to impact lives. And that our foundational values are the things that are going to stay with people. And that ultimately, at the end of the day, when we're interacting on a client conversation, it's more important to see that person and to interact with them as an individual and not just as a business transaction.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I love that. The way we say that is I don't want to treat people like tools and even in my parenting, sometimes I can treat my kids as objects of performance. Like, hey, I need you to behave and I want to get to the grocery store without knocking over anything. And so I can be kind of performative in my parenting. In business, I can treat people like tools unintentionally. But when we apply the gospel, when we apply our faith, it's like, no, people are like, the journey is what it's about. So how can I give feedback in order to create growth? I'm blessed with having a ton of international friends. So we can't necessarily, some Christian organizations can kind of church it up a little bit. They can have corporate prayer in the office. I have a lot of international folks that are from really varying religious backgrounds. And so it's an interesting dynamic, like bringing faith into the workplace is more of like a leading by example and being a servant leader. And then what I do is I make sure that there's a lot of focus on what's expected of you, like what is your role, what are the deliverables for that role, and then I put that aside. That's kind of like conversation one, so that conversation two can be like, hey, this is the role we're trying to hit. What's going on with you? How can we grow into this role? And then really being helpful about the challenges that come from what I call conversation two. And then, running that through different leadership matrices, like, are we having a capacity issue or a capability issue? A few years ago, when we were still in the office, I had a project manager that could just, like, we had to stand up at 9 o'clock, and homie could not get in by 9 o'clock, 9:15, 9:05. And so I started asking, like, what's going on? And just the way that him and his wife had organized their life, they had a certain number of things that he could not get there at 9 o'clock. So we moved it to 9:30. If I was just, performative, I would just say, hey, 9 o'clock, it's got to be. And that might have caused like an undue pressure that really didn't move my business or change anything. We started at 9:30, and that didn't mean everybody else came in later. It was just like, hey, we're going to have this stand-up meeting at 9:30. And so, I think I even see things like, I see amazing things like the concept of unlimited PTO. You would think, well, people are just taking vacation all the time. No, you're giving them freedom. And then the conversation becomes, what do you think the best thing for the client is? Because serving the client is part of our core values. And so they're more careful actually about when they take their PTO, when they schedule their vacation. And a lot of times they'll coincide it with a different delivery cycle within that particular engagement. So it's not that it gets abused, it actually, it actually just creates a flexible, free working environment. And so I love it. I love bringing faith principles into the way even we dictate some policy.
Mm.
Because by having an open or freer policy, I think that's more gospel oriented because it has grace implied in it, and it just it tends to wrap up a lot of things. Like it solves a lot of problems to not be performative, but to be what I would call expectation oriented. Like this is the target. Like Jesus is the target. We know that Jesus is an unattainable target in reality, but it's the journey to hit the target. That the standard is so high, none of us will hit the standard. And this is like I've modeled my culture a lot off of like special operations, and I've talked to a bunch of vets. I'm the only non-veteran for generations, and so most vets will agree with this. The difference between the regular Army and special operators is that the regular Army understands the minimum standard. So they understand like, hey, if I do a work, if I go to my PT test, I know I have to complete this set workout within this amount of time. Like I know my minimum standard. A special operator knows their maximum boundary. So they know, okay, I can hike 20 miles before my body falls apart. Like I know what I'm maximally capable of. When you were doing your CrossFit, you probably began to understand what your body was maximally capable of, when just no matter what your will said, this was the limit. And so professionals that follow the special operator standard, they understand how to navigate boundaries. They know if I have this flexibility in my schedule, I can sustain high levels of professional work forever without fail. And so they understand those boundaries and they're good at communicating those. And they don't come from a place of doing the minimum. They come from like, this is how I achieve consistent maximum effectiveness. And so we talk a lot about that in our org, and I think a lot of that's driven from my faith.
No, I think that's beautiful, and I think I'm huge on culture, and exactly what you said is like, hey, here's the North Star. Here's what we're going for. Here's what great looks like. Here's what exceptional is, and then guiding people and developing them into that versus like, hey, it's purely performance. It's like, no, it's like we want to strive for this. I don't want to be having to like constantly like check in, like, hey, did you do this minimum thing? It's like, no, it's like, it's, giving people agency.
Well, yeah, yes, micromanagement or over managing, performative management leads to a team that knows what the minimum standard is, and they'll rise up to the minimum standard. But a goal-oriented culture that has stretch goals, and so we really work on that. And across the globe, we work on that within multiple cultures. And so, yeah, it's fascinating to see how, one of the most fun conversations we ever had was the idea of in India, there's a thing called a juggard. It's like a hack. We would call it a hack in English language. In Brazil, it's called something else, like a juggery or something. Like there's all these different terms across the globe for a hack. And what we were talking about is the word you use, does it imply quality or does it imply like it barely works from a quality perspective? In software development, you might have heard the term kludge, right? Like it's a kludge in my code. It's not perfect. It's not dynamic. It's just a kludge. And in that is implied like I'm sacrificing some quality. And so we had a fantastic conversation about creative solutions. So the word for a creative solution, but whether like based on what word, what's your quality assumption with your creative solution? and like getting clear on that language was one of my most favorite conversations, because like the picture that they had of in India of a juggard is like a million plugs into a single outlet, right? Like that is going to catch fire at some point in time, but for today it works and everybody can heat their stoves, and so there's also like a life and death aspect to some of the solutions in Indian culture. And so yeah, I love bonding the cultures around what we're doing, and that is fuel to my faith too, because we're influencing a high level of living, not just a high level of performance for work, but a high standard, understanding what commitment is. Like the one thing we correct all the time is that I'll try, right? Like I'll try is like very low level of actual commitment,
Right.
Versus like I'll do it, versus like whatever it takes. It like it will happen.
Yeah. Dang.
Cool. Sorry, I kind of went on my faith has brought those things to bear, and so when we get on the faith topic,
Yeah.
my faith is driving some of those cultural influences, and so that's the connection there. Well, cool. If people like what you've had to share today, how would you like them to connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, they can hit me up on LinkedIn. Would probably be, just for this audience, LinkedIn would probably be the best. You can just search my name, Jay Storm, and definitely connect with me on there. And of course, I have the social profiles. You can look up me as Jay Storm. But yeah, if you want to try out the software, I don't know if it'll be up exactly the way it is now, but we're improving it all the time. So OmegaAIads.com, and you can go there, try out the software. But if you want to, get in touch with me, it's easy.
Do you love connecting with? Like who are you most enjoying having conversations with right now?
Yeah, right now it's really going to be business owners that want to lead in the technology front. If they're interested in anything in the marketing, or like using AI and systems to improve either marketing or sales, that's where my team and I like that's where I love the conversations.
Great. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here today. I appreciate it. It's been, we've hit on some really great topics. I'm really excited to see where you go next, and excited to see somebody making some revenue off AI generated software. I think this is going to be a really cool case study to see how the journey progresses from here.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a blessing as well. I know we definitely wanted to dive deeper into the faith and the performance and culture aspect of things, but we can save those convos for next time.
Sure, you bet. All right, thanks, Jay.
Absolutely.
Cool, man. Yeah, thank you very, very much. I'm just letting the episode percolate here. Looks like we're fully downloaded. Would love to help you as you figure out your scale. That doesn't have to be a lot too early. But I have 100 people on my team, and if you want to start talking about how to separate the back end of what you're doing from the front end, if you want to talk about how to make sure, like if you already know how to implement APIs within Lovable, what may work for you is that you think of like, okay, I need to properly do authentication and account stuff. Or if you can think of a piece, then like the more narrow the scope, the more precise I can be with like what to expect from a costing perspective. But since I use my business partner I've known for 20 years, he's an Indian national, so he runs the Indian operations, and we have the like project manager that can help you. So it's we're helping start really anybody between $1 million and $100 million in revenue. And if you go to our website, we have tons of case studies. So yeah, if you ever want to kind of talk about where to go next in terms of your product dev, like we're here for that.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And that's, yeah, basically after these conversations, because I'm rolling out the MVP to like the initial agents. And then once there's proof of concept, then I think that's where like true scale can come in. Yeah, I would appreciate that.
Cool. So we'll follow up with you, and also if you just need like navigating, so I've raised $30 million over 6 different rounds. The 5 companies. If you need anything in terms of just like, hey, what do I do with this? We'd love to be a resource for you. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I actually appreciate that more, honestly, because it's really hard to find, especially in the entrepreneurship realm of like someone who's done both the business but also the family aspect of things is really big for me. Is finding someone that hasn't sacrificed that but actually brought that along with them as they've built.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, you don't need to torch the world. There's like, work will always be there. And I think for some of us, for me at least, I can work 80 hours a week. Like that's very comfortable for me. What is not comfortable is holding boundaries with my clients and my work, and switching gears to invest in my kids and my wife. That's actually more uncomfortable because oftentimes it's not. If you knock it out of the park, we know how to measure success in business, so we can constantly reinforce, hey, I'm being successful. I just closed that new client. It's harder to gauge whether or not you're being successful in the way you grow family. It's harder to measure that and feel that. But it's so rewarding. And when I was in my 20s, I totally torched the earth. Like whatever I could do to get to just ensure my parents were really poor, and I just like anything to be poor, right? Like anything to have the kind of life that I want. And so I made a lot of poor decisions and just went all in on one part of my life, on the finance side.
Yeah.
But what I coach entrepreneurs through is faith, family, fitness, and finance. And there's something really careful about that order. If your faith's not in line, your family, your fitness, then the finance is going to suffer in some way, shape, or form. And most men, they operate finance, and then maybe fitness or family is in there somewhere, and then maybe faith is at the end, right? So, my primary aim is to help people overcome challenges and accomplish their life's ambition while preserving faith, family, fitness.
I love that. That's awesome.
Cool.
Well,
let me know, man. I'm here for you.
I will. I appreciate it. Yeah. Have such a good night as well. I know you're over there. Where are you located again?
I'm in Dallas.
Okay, Dallas. I was like, it was either Texas or Colorado. I couldn't remember. Dallas.
You're in Miami.
Miami, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
That's awesome. Well, great talking with you. Have such a great rest of the night. Really appreciated the opportunity and coming on, and really just getting to know you more too. I mean, that's been great.
Yeah, cool. All right, we'll be about 4 to 6 weeks out, and Justin will be in contact with you to get some materials just to get this launched. And I think this will be a great episode.
Amazing. Yeah, likewise. We covered a lot. I really like the questions where you did the harder questions, because those are, I was like, oh, these are great.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Yeah, let me know if anything comes up, and otherwise we'll talk again when the show goes live.
Awesome. All right. See you.
All right. Good night.
Bye. There we go. That's a wrap.